Good morning and welcome to the new edition of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. Just a few days back, an event took place in USA which will have global repercussions, and the tremors of the forthcoming volcanic eruption, I mean political volcanic, are being felt today. And this was that the House of Representatives Republican leadership underwent a change. Representative Liz Cheney, daughter of the former Vice President Dick Cheney. If you remember, he was a Vice President at the time of President Bush. She was drummed out, and a Trump protégé, Elise Stefanik, took her place. Well, you might be considering that this is normal and this is what happens in any country. The political leadership changes, and this is the third most important position in the Republican Party. But then one thing is important to notice that this drumming out, this ouster of Liz Cheney and coming in of Elise Stefanik amplifies the voice of anti-Trump Republicans as well as strengthens pro-Trump people. But this is a paradigm and a paradox. Paradigm because this is establishing a well-known fact that Republican Party of USA today is practically ruled by the Trump's ideas. Despite his defeat, though he won more votes than when he was elected, Trump is the person who attracts the voters like honey would attract flies. And no senator or House of Representative member can hope to get re-elected, or for that matter, no governor of any province, any state, can hope to get re-elected on Republican ticket until and unless she is endorsed by President Trump. And this ouster of Liz Cheney was something which was very important because she was one of the 10 persons, Republicans, who voted for impeachment of President Trump. So the House Republicans' drive was to replace her, to throw her out. She's from Wyoming. And they were successful because she was a discordant voice of GOP leadership. Now, the elevation of Elise elevates the voice of anti-Trump Republicans because that tiny faction of about 8 to 10 people are very vocal. They may not have standing, but they can create, like mosquitoes, a disturbance. Now, undeniably, President Trump remains overwhelmingly popular with the Republican Party. And in some recent polling, his favorable rating is visible. And anti-Trump forces, who for years have struggled to gain traction against resilient Trump, have not been able to catch up with him. The point is that Republicans see this a golden opportunity to recapture, win over again, House of Representatives and Senate in 2022. That's the next year. Next year is quite possible and is on the cards that given proper leadership, House of Representatives would once again be under the control of the Republican Party. And they are also hoping that now 50-50, both Republicans and Democrats, equation would change to something positive for the Republicans, and that's quite a possibility. It's a golden opportunity. But the fight over Cheney highlighted a key dilemma. Trump has a strong grip on the party and is well positioned to face it even more in his image through endorsement in the primaries. And his politics is such that the people, as I said, are attracted. Now, the impact of Trump in the midterm elections so that Republicans that win back House of Representatives and Senate is already in evidence. Most of the 10 House Republicans who voted to impeach him are facing primary challenges and they are afraid now. Some candidates who were critical, they have said, okay, we are not going to contest. They were so afraid, terrified, that they said, okay, we are not going to contest the election again. And another candidate person, a House of Representative member who opposed Trump, voted for his impeachment, Michael Wood. He got only 3.2% of the votes, just 3.2%. Now imagine a person who gets 3.2%, that means the Republican Party is not with him and he cannot hope to be elected at all. So the Republican endorsed by Trump, Susan Rice, she got the runoff. That happened in Texas. And it happened not bad, just this March, when Susan Rice was declared to be the nominee for the election, Republican nominee for 2022. So candidates like Cheney won't have a realistic path of winning the Republican primaries. So this much is clear. Those who challenge Trump's ideas in 2020, they cannot hope to win. And Republican Party to gain majority in House of Representatives wants those people whom Trump favors. So Elise Stefanik replaces Liz Cheney. And Cheney has been quite extraordinarily blunt in anti-Trump fight. Now imagine people like Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, they were opposing Trump in the election for the presidency. But once they saw that Trump has a vice-like grip on the party and he is the fulcrum of the party, they are supporting him all the way. And 4 of the 10 politicians, Republicans who voted to impeach Trump, they would still be in office until 2023. So 6 would be out next year, 4 would be out in 23. And 23 is important because in 23, the election takes place for the presidency, which Trump is likely to contest. So this escalation of the anti-Trump fight coming to the formative months of Biden's presidency is a clear indication to people that look here, if Biden is failing and he is not coherent, then you need a more coherent opposition to an administration beset with problems. So this sense of unity being created by the election of Elise shows that. And look at what's happening on Biden's watch. Inflation, gas shortages, companies can't fill job openings, border crisis. And a very close friend of Mitch McConnell, who is the Senate Majority Leader, Scott Jennings, he told me that they have to get focused on pushing back against Biden, or they'll lose the opportunity to drive this guy down. Now, the point is to discredit Biden to the extent that people are disgusted not with Biden alone, but with the party. And the present war in Israel, Gaza area, has come as a boon. It's a bonus. For the first time, the clear divisions in the Democratic Party are visible, as I posted yesterday. The ultra-left group led by the Gang of Four, AOC, Omar Lamba, and others, they say that USA should support Palestinians. But USA what they did, Biden and the Secretary of Defense, they very clearly said no. So much so that they vetoed the resolution in Security Council. Now, so at least election coupled with dissensions and disruptions in the Democratic Party are making changes. And many anti-Trump Republicans concede they have essentially lost a civil war to Trump and that rebuilding without his dominance is impossible. Big political losses, if you remember, in 1980s and 90s were other examples that cleared the way for President Clinton to become the Democratic Party in the center. And this is what happened with Tony Blair. But now, this is not possible because already the Democrats are in power. And the disruption, the division in the coupled with the coherence in the Republican Party is going to be very, very important. Now, Republican Party is at a point which is the cusp of an abyss. If they are divided, they'll fall down the abyss and never be able to recover because quite possible Democrats might paper over their differences. So Trump is revitalizing the party. There were two Trump critics, strategist Bill Kristol. They have already joined Democrats Party, and about 150 Republicans, including four former governors, say that okay, we'll start a third party. Now, these politicians sometimes are very naive. US has a history that the third parties have no stay at all. You remember Philip Nadar contesting. Where was he? He did not get even 1% of the votes called. The US is very clear that they want two party system. So this thought of starting a third party by Liz Cheney and her supporters is a suicidal move. Anyway, Liz Cheney is offering this third approach. Now what she is saying is no, I will not leave the Republican Party, but I'll redirect the party from within. She is bringing the fight of a solidly conservative record, which nobody can deny she has, the lineage of Dick Cheney. She has a solid conservative record, but her betrayal of Trump is a black mark. In an interview with NBC, I heard her say that she's remaining in the Republican Party. She'll run for re-election in 2020 and beat back any primary challenger whom Trump might pose. Now, she was being indulging in bravado. As a matter of fact, she has left the door open to somebody running for the presidency, as implausible as it may seem, because nobody would be able to win until and unless blessed by Trump. On Friday, just yesterday, she took her message to New Hampshire. And New Hampshire is the place where the first presidential primaries take place. She was asked about her presidential aspirations. And she said, well, I'm not ruling it out. But what I'm focused right now is on rebuilding the party. Now, a lady who has been a House of Representative member for a pretty long time, has had the third position in hierarchy, but is displaced ignobly. But that's the point. She was ousted badly. She did not get even 33% votes. How can she hope to be the president? This is again, as I said, a bravado encouraged by the Democrats. So, now imagine Elise got 134 votes, while Liz got 46 votes. And then Elise has been very sensible. Immediately, she sought to turn the attention away from this division in the Republican Party and started attacking the Democrats. She very clearly said that the House Republicans are united in a focus to save the country from radical socialist democratic agenda of President Biden and Nancy Pelosi. She also reiterated President Trump's role, and she said that we are united in the sport and desire to work with President Trump, and we are unified as Republicans. So if next year Republicans get hold of Senate, then the Senate leader would be Elise, who is at one time was opposing Trump, but now she is the most loyal acolyte. Her record is not as strong as that of Chip Roy was, Cheney's was, but her being patronized by Trump more than offsets it. Now, as I said, the Democratic majority, while in Senate is they both are equal, in House it's marginally more, but it's very narrow. And several incumbents in competitive districts have announced they are not running for election. Now, when the incumbent candidate does not run, the probability, and as seen from the elections for the last few years, that that seat, that riding goes to the opposition party. So if 20 Democrats are not running, out of 20, maybe 15 will go to Republicans, and then voila, they have a majority. So Democrat votes will be compounded by the forthcoming post-census redrawing of the district map. And when the district lines are redrawn, Republican Party would have upper hand in many state legislatures. But let's not forget, Trump's problem did not begin with Cheney, and they will not end with her being ousted. His standing is very high. Nobody can deny it. 75% it was in January. So internal polls show that the unfavorable votes are being reduced. Some Republicans worry that Trump will throw his weight behind candidates who are not suitable enough. Quite possible. In Georgia, for example, Trump has said that he would like the former football star Herschel Walker to run against the Democratic. And Walker has clear political vulnerabilities. He's a political novice. And he doesn't belong to Georgia. He's a Texas resident. But can you believe? With his Trump's blessing, Herschel Walker is today running ahead and he's leading the race in Virginia, where the governor's election is going to take place in this year. The Republicans have just nominated Glenn Youngkin. He's a former private security executive who embraced Trump's effort all the time. So Trump has endorsed him and is likely to win. So despite the internal divisions, Republicans agree that their best shot at beating Democrats in the midterm election is to remain united under the leadership of Trump and Elise Stefanik as a protégé and a favorite of Trump is going to give a definite hard time to the Democrats. Let's not deny that the division in the Democratic Party, the unity in the Republican Party, as is being clearly shown by the election of Elise, is going to turn the tables next elections. But politics is a gamble. So let's wait and watch. But Elise's election definitely has an implication that Democrats are in danger of being thrown out from the majority place, both in the House and in the Senate. And that would be a bad day for them. Thank you.